afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Like I normally say, wherever you are in the world, whatever your time zone is, I say greetings to you all. Thank you for tuning in to Strength for Today's Man. We are in volume 81, and I want to share with you guys how valuable you guys are. I want to talk about it's a good investment. That's what we're going to talk about. It's a good investment. What God has placed inside of you is a good investment. Reading Matthew 25 and 21, it says, his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Do you guys not realize that when you use the gifts and talents that God has given you, it makes him happy? The story here is such a powerful illustration on how we are to invest whatever God has given us. Now, in the parable, in Matthew 25, Jesus tells an interesting story here. He tells a very interesting parable. And it's about a master who gives three different servants various amounts of money. We pretty much know this story backwards and forwards. Two of them we know invested what they've been given. One of them buries his. And that reminds me of so many people that I know. There's a lot of people that have been given a large sum of money. Some people, maybe not as much. And it's amazing to see what they do with the money that they get. Some people, they invest. They're shrewd investors. They take risks and they have the money to invest in ways that if they lose it, then they're fine. They always say, don't invest more than you are willing to lose. So if you're willing to lose, say $500, $1,500, $2,000, okay, if that's an extra that you have set aside, then okay, you can afford to lose that. But there are some people, they can't afford to lose $100. They are tightwads. That $100 is going to stretch. They hold that $100 bill so tight that the president on there is probably screaming, let me go. But that's how tight we hold our money. And when you think about investing and how investing can be a risk. Now, I do invest. I enjoy investing. I set money aside to invest. And if I lose it, I'm not upset. I might be a little sad because I lost that, but I'm not too upset because I've set that amount aside to invest. And if I lose it, then, okay, I've lost it. I wasn't going to do anything with it anyway. But there are times to where I'm very cautious in my investing because I'm looking for high yielding accounts. I'm looking for powerful compounded interest accounts. I'm looking for a way to double, triple, and quadruple my money. Or I'll sit on an account for a while just to see how it does. And it's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. As long as that roller coaster is continuously going up and to the right, I'm happy. But there are some times when it dips. But I'm not freaking out. I'm not getting all excited. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. Oh, I'll just throw my hands up and walk away. No, I've been taught in business to just be patient and be wise in some of the decisions that I make. People don't even get into business adventures because they're scared. They're leery. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid, oh, there's too much work in this. Oh, you mean I got to do that? I don't want to do that. I'm good. And people refuse to invest their time and effort and talents and gifts into something that maybe God has allowed to come your way, but you're too afraid of the unknown. So what do? You bury it. We bury our talents. We bury our gifts. We bury what God has given us. Just like this particular servant in the story, he buried his money. Many people have money in the bank. We all have money in the bank. Would you agree? Yes or yes? Okay. Now, if you're dependent on your bank to be your investment vehicle, I got a rude awakening for you. It's not. The only one that's benefiting from the money that you have in the bank is the bank. They're giving you a pitiful, 0.00001% of the money that you have in the bank, and they're getting high yields on your money. They're getting compound interest on your money, but yet they're going to give you that 0.00001%. And I'm like, okay, we have the power because it's our money. And if you have enough to sit at the table with the big boys and go, okay, I don't want this 0.00001%. I want 5% on the money that I leave in your bank. And I don't want you to mess with it. I don't want you to invest it. I don't want nobody training on it. I want my money to be secure. People, they have a right to ask that because they have high amounts of money in the bank. So they have power. You know how it is. People with money have the power. But in understanding what Jesus is talking about here in this particular parable, the investment that's inside of you, it's a good investment. What God has placed inside of you, it's a good investment. There are times to where we are very fearful. And I understand when it comes to money, you don't want to lose any of it. You want to make sure that it's going to be there for a rainy day. I don't know what your rainy days are, but I know rainy days come. And we want to set aside, as they say in financial training, set aside for emergency funds, set aside for education funds, set aside for retirement funds, set aside for vacation funds. And they're teaching us how to set aside certain amounts of money so we can have it later on in life. Well, in the story here, as we see the two that invested their money, they got back high returns on what God has given them, on what the Lord let's put it this way, what their Lord at that particular time has allotted to them, because Jesus is the one that's teaching the parable. So we'll leave it at that, the Lord and his servants. This is a parable that can have multiple meanings in it. But the one of the most popular applications is the idea of investment. What God has placed in you guys, it's a good investment, or else he wouldn't have placed it inside of you. He would not have invested in you, but yet he did. There are certain things that he's invested in you, and he's relying on you to invest your time, your talents, your gifts in a way that will make him happy. It's not just concerning our finances in the story, although that is a very important aspect of the story. It's also important to consider our gifts and our talents as well, because those, as I say, are investments that God has placed in us. There are people that sing, or should I say, there are people that can sing, but they don't. There are people that are musicians that don't play. There are people that are great orators and they don't speak. There are people that are great teachers and they don't teach. These are gifts and talents that has been invested in you, just waiting for you to invest it into someone else. When you look at a talent in Jesus's time, one talent consisted of 6,000 denarii. You know what 6,000 denarii is today, or one talent is today in our money? It's about $348,000. Now, look at the story in our retrospect in time. $348,000. How many talents did he give the first one? How many talents did he give the second one? How many talents did he give the third one? He gave the third one 1 talent. He gave him, okay, in our language, in our day, $348,000. That's a lot of money to do a lot of things with. He can go out and bless people. He can go out and build businesses. But what did he do? He buried it, just like many of us. What do? We bury it. We put it in a bank with 0.00001%, and we're happy with that. We don't want anybody to mess with our money. We want to make sure our money is there. We don't want to buy nothing new. We don't want to enjoy our lives. We don't want to do anything. We're just fearful, so we bury it. That's a lot of money. Let me ask you guys, if someone gave you $348,000 today, what would you do with it? Many people, yes, they would say, I'd spend it. But how would you spend it? How would you use that wisely? How would you invest that money, not only for you and your family, but how would you invest that money to help others? Here's what we need to reason with. Are you using the gifts and the talents God has given you to invest in and make a difference in the world? The little that he's given you, what are you doing with it? The little that he's allowed you to have, how are you investing it in a way to make a difference in the world? Doesn't matter how much you have. You don't have to have millions. You don't have to have thousands. You can have hundreds. But whatever you have, use it in a way that will help and invest in making a difference in the world. How do you invest in others' lives? How do you invest in other people's lives? In what you have. We don't even have to talk about the finances. Let's talk about you as an individual, your gifts and your talents. How are you investing in other people's lives? If you're a teacher, how are you using your gifts as a teacher to teach? If you're a singer, how are you using those singing gifts to sing? Blessing other people. Okay, think of yourself. When you sit and you hear somebody that can sing, and I mean sang, that type of singing, to where the hairs on the back of your neck just go whomp. You're like, man, don't you enjoy that? Don't you get something out of that? There's an enjoyment there. Your goosebumps. There's goosebumps all over your arms because they sing so well, or someone that plays very well, or someone that you could sit and listen to oratate because they have something to say. They're not filibustering. They're not sitting around just talking about frivolous information. They have great information and you enjoy sitting under their tutelage. Today, think of a way that you can make an investment into someone else's life. The talents and the gift that you have, use it in a way to invest in someone else's life. I don't care if you're sitting on your job and you are bored out your mind. Find creative ways to invest the talents and the gift that God has given you to either help your clients or help other coworkers or help upper management. Use it for the best of your ability and watch how God blesses you. Just like the two servants were blessed in the story, you're going to have to go back and read how they were blessed. God is going to bless you the same way just by investing the little that you think you have into someone else. Because the reward of your investment is invaluable. What God has placed inside of you, it's a good investment. It's like myself. I have a master's degree in Christian studies with an emphasis in leadership. Now, because of that particular degree, I'm not just going to go and accept a job that is going to pay me well beneath what my education status is just to say I got a job. No, if I'm going to accept a position, that position is going to have to start at 6 figures and above because of the education and the time and the sacrifice I did over the years to get that master's. I'm not going to sit and get paid less than someone that doesn't have a degree. Now, they might have street smarts, they might have intellectual smarts, but they don't have the education. There should be some type of compensation for those of you that have gone to school, sacrificed, got that degree. Now you deserve what is coming to you in way of financial blessings. I'm not looking to get paid anything less than six figures if I go into the field of ministry, of pastoring, of teaching, of education, because I deserve that, because the investment that I made into the school system, into the education system, the investment that God placed in me, I'm investing back to bless someone else. And you should be blessed for your efforts. You should be blessed for your education. Don't bury it. Let me close with this. God, thank you for investing in me by sending Jesus so I can be in a relationship with you. Help me to understand more of what my gifts are so that I can invest them in others. The investment that God has placed in you, it's a good investment. You guys go out there, be a good investment to someone else. Invest what God has invested in you and watch what type of return comes back. You can't beat God giving. So what you give to him, he's going to bless you even more so. This is Strength for Today's Man, Volume 81. I'm Malachi Mitchell. You guys remember, I'm always say this, don't just watch the show. Subscribe, like, and share. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the next podcast. You guys be blessed.